All right, welcome in. It is Monday. That means a new week of total bases and the last week of, I guess we could call it the first half. Major League Baseball likes to call it the first half and the second half, but as you guys know, the first half's been over for a while. We have passed the 81 game mark in Major League Baseball. That being said, a week before the All-Star break. So this is the week every year I come onto this show, Bryan Leonard, and say, man, if you really got to start handicapping motivation in some of these games. It is the finish line. Some people have a week off coming up. Some of these guys have been playing baseball since February in the World Baseball Classic. So how was your day yesterday? And just touch on that a little bit. Does it change how you look at these games this week?
First of all, one play yesterday, and unfortunately, I lost my 5%. I had the Detroit game under 8, and they scored 9. It's going to happen. That's sports betting. Overall, still 31-11 run. Can't complain, but that one didn't go our way. Yeah, as for this week, I talked about that the other day, where you just remember back when you were back in school and you were going on vacation and you were losing interest in the last week, and especially the last day. So yeah, a lot of these guys that aren't going to the All-Star break, they've got plans with their family. So you got to keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to affect this series, but it will affect probably the later series in this week. But just something to keep in mind. If you're a veteran team that thought you were going to the playoffs coming into the season, the Mets, it may be a little bit tough getting motivated for these games. But hey, they won a game yesterday. Maybe that'll turn them around. But it's something to keep an eye on.
All right, Tokyo Brandon, let's get you in here fresh off a 2-hour show on your own channel yesterday. So I know there's a lot of folks that appreciate you doing the Sunday show. Aside from that, how was your day? And also any comments on this sort of last week into the All-Star break week off?
Yeah, we just have to remember that these guys are human beings. Many of them have families, kids, dogs, and a lot of them are, they have cats. They care a lot about their pets. You'd be surprised how many MLB players are, spoil their pets and stuff. So, when they really look forward to the time off, because baseball is such a marathon. So to get 5 days off for them is huge in the middle of the season. There will be some letdowns here and there, and you'll start to see teams start to unload their players as well. So, regarding plays, I was on a 10-1 run, and I won my 5% with the Miami Marlins the day before yesterday. And then yesterday I got really lucky. I had the Athletics plus 1.5. They were losing 8-0, and I won the bet. Happy about that. I did go 1-2 yesterday, unfortunately, but they were all 2% plays, pretty small plays. But I did an Adam special, the plus 1.5, and down 8-0. You don't expect to win. So
that was
happens just as often as bad luck, but you remember the bad luck a lot more than you remember the good luck. But I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah, that was about to be a big time storyline, right? Yuri Perez had a perfect game going, and they took him out after 92 pitches. Sort of sparked that rally. Glad that you hit that. Only play for me yesterday was a 4%er on the Brewers. They got it done. So 1-0 day, 2-1 on Saturday. Bounced back from that sort of heartbreaking loss on Friday night with the Diamondbacks plus 1.5, which of course lost in extra innings. We've got enough people in here now on the live chat. We're going to get going. So Bryan Leonard, I'll come back to you. Feature game tonight. Fox Sports 1. This is a matchup in the NL West. And, I think these are two teams that kind of don't have the luxury of coasting into the break. This is Diamondbacks Padres. Both of these teams need these games. So big series starting at Petco Park tonight. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, two teams that are tied in the division. Both, you would have to say, they've both been disappointments. We've got Buehler basically about a 110 favorite here against Fott. Fott's looked pretty good since coming back up from the minors. Last time Buehler was out there, he took one for the team. He was pitching in Chicago. The wind was blowing out, and that's that game. I believe they scored 23 runs in that game. So he's definitely can't wait to get back on the mound. Fought when you're pitching well is also the same deal here. I have these two teams rated basically even right now, and which would mean that the line should be in about the 120 range. So I'm seeing slight value here on San Diego with Buehler. They are coming off that series with the Dodgers, and it was not the greatest series for them, but they fought back and gained that victory in the last game. So that's somewhat of a positive. But I kind of like San Diego a little bit here. As I said, if they're truly equal, I like Buehler better than I like Fott right now. So I've got the team at home with what I consider the better pitcher. I'm going to throw away that last game because it was in that anything hit in the air was going out of the park. So I'm throwing that out. Whereas a lot of people we've talked about in the past, if you're not following it day to day, you're not going to realize these things happen. And they're going to say, oh, geez, Buehler was terrible again yesterday. They want to bet against him. I think there's slight value here on San Diego. Don't know if it makes my card, but to be able to be playing at home in this situation in the pick'em game, yeah, I prefer them over Arizona a little bit here. Don't know if I'll get there.
TB, D-backs, Padres. That Padres team, always a thorn in our side. How are you seeing this one?
The Padres team are a thorn, and Fott is a guy. Do you guys find Brandon Fott hard to read? I find him really hard to read.
Oh, I think I got him totally nailed, but I'll talk about
Really?
that after you
Okay,
go.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll give you a shot to talk about that when I'm done, because I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But I find him hard to read. Like before he got injured, he was like a reliever, pitching 1 inning, 2 inning here and there. Then he comes back and he pitches a great game against the Giants. So what do we expect today? Career-wise, his numbers against Padres, pretty average, 258 against, with a 708 OPS. Pretty low OPS, kind of high average, which means he's putting guys on base, but not really giving up long balls too much. That's all nice and good. He pitched a great game, but his whip is still really high at 141. So I really have a hard time reading Brandon Fott. I agree with Brian. I've never been a Walker Buehler fan, but this year he's doing all right. He's got really good stats against these Diamondbacks. But again, as I said before, the caveat is those numbers, as long as he's been in the league, those numbers could be from 2010. So not a lot of credence to those numbers. Overall, I think Buehler's better. But man, what's going on with San Diego's bullpen? I have them ranked dead last in MLB right now in current form. Horrible. Diamondbacks bullpen definitely more reliable, at least right now. I got the Padres bats a little better than Arizona, and I like Buehler's stats against them. So if anything, I think a San Diego first 5 money line might be in order here because, man, that bullpen looks bad. That's how I would approach it. So let's hear your thoughts on Fott.
Well, I don't really ever remember Fott being a reliever other than like maybe when there was times where he pitched his way out of the rotation temporarily. Like, here's the problem with Brandon Fott. Big fastball, okay? And him and Ryan Nelson are similar in the respect that like they come up through the Diamondbacks organization, big heater, right? Like you love these guys that can come out and throw hard, throw a lot of fastballs. So Nelson's a little different because his fastball he's got more like the power fastball. Brandon Fott just throws like 5 different variations of a fastball, but it's like a cutter, a 4-seamer, like pretty much all fastballs. It's just they're slightly different versions of a fastball. So what I've always kind of found, and here's the reason why I think that he's sort of become just a very average pitcher at the big league level. Career, like his ERA, I believe career is up over 5, less than a strikeout per inning. I think it's because there's just not many different looks, and like teams are able to start to sort of like gauge. They know they're going to get mostly fastballs, and it's like when he does mix in a changeup or something like that, it's historically been ineffective. So then you even look at this year, and I think this year, now it's been a little bit of a limited sample because he's worked around an injury and stuff. I do think he's getting a little bit better at mixing it up this year, but it doesn't, like, you start to look at his StatCast page and his numbers, and I'm just not sure that it's like more effective than the last couple years when he was like more fastball reliant. So you look at his year last year, 1.33 whip isn't terrible, but he's still well below a strikeout per inning, and he's still ERA over 5. You look at this year, slightly more mix in his pitches. ERA still 5.40. Whip is 1.41. The point is, very, very average major league pitcher. That is what he is. He is an average big league pitcher. His stuff for the big leagues is average as it gets. It's going to be 5 ERA. It's going to be a lot of fastballs. Teams are going to be able to figure it out. The other side of the handicap and what makes me like the Padres here, and I talked about this yesterday when I did the analysis for my 4% Brewers play that was a win, the Arizona Diamondbacks dead last in WRC plus against right-handed pitching this year. They have really struggled against right-handed pitching, and they struggled over the weekend. The only reason they had any runs against Brandon Woodruff is because his arm was falling off, and he had to leave the game with a dead arm. After he got out of the game, they didn't score. They struggled against Brandon Sproat. Do you guys think Walker Buehler is better than those? Is better than Sproat? Woodruff's amazing, but Woodruff was clearly hurt. So I like the Padres. This might make my card. TB, go ahead.
Just a quick question. What are all these game scores of 3 innings or less, like 6 times in a row in the month of May? They weren't using him as a reliever? Educate me, because I wasn't paying attention to Brandon Pfaadt back then.
So he may have came out of the bullpen a time or two here and there, but he was also in Reno and he was rehabbing. So they were starting him down in Reno, but it was like 3 innings. Now, if the D-backs snuck him down in the bullpen for a minute, or he had shorter starts, like that's very possible. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'm saying, like, throughout his career, he's been a starter. Like, he's never really been a reliever. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, if you remember back before he was brought up, he was a big strikeout guy. And he hasn't been able to generate that in the major leagues. So he's like a 4A pitcher. Brandon mentioned the bullpens. All the bullpen guys, the key bullpen guys, are probably not going to pitch today. So you've got, if you like the over in it, make sure you can play it for the entire game. If you like the under, you're probably better off in the first 5.
That was Brian. I'm glad you brought up the bullpen, because I kind of got off. I kind of got going on Pfaadt more than I intended to. But like, this is a scenario where I think I would still be willing to take the Padres, even with some of their bullpen usage, because the Padres bullpen at full strength is so much better than the Diamondbacks that the way I look at this is like, okay, now the bullpens it maybe are a little bit more even than they normally would be, but I still think I'm getting an advantage with Buehler, and tough to argue with Arizona's struggles against right-handed pitching this year. And they had bad at-bats all day yesterday against Sproat. They had mostly bad at-bats against Woodruff the day before. So, you know what? I'll use parlay. I'll use the Padres for the parlay. I don't know if it'll make my client card, but it's close, and I'll use Padres money line for the parlay.
I do want to point out Miller pitched the last 2 days through 30 pitches. They're not going to pitch him 3 days in a row. Morajan had to throw 38 pitches. That's 2 out of 3 days. He won't be pitching. Rodriguez pitched 18 pitches. That's 2 out of 3 for him. Kyle Hart had to throw 31 on Saturday. So, yeah, I fully understand. I have San Diego as clearly the better bullpen also, but you're not going to get any of those guys. So you're going to be getting Mastui and Peralta and Jacob and those kind of guys. I kind of like Jacob, but you're just not going to see the better arms in the San Diego bullpen today.
Right, but who do you get for Arizona? I mean, that they threw everyone the last weekend, all weekend too. Seawold pitched Friday, Saturday. Basically, every Diamondbacks reliever pitched Friday, Saturday. So yeah, some of them didn't pitch yesterday, but like, okay, so let's say the bullpens are even. Hey, you could go first 5 here, and maybe if you do like a total, listen, if you do like the over, maybe this is it's an interesting conversation, because Arizona struggles against right-handed pitching, but they might get the lesser bullpen arms. So it's an interesting game. But yes, what's the money line on Padres? Because I'm going to use it for the parlay. Yeah, and like, listen, the Padres, they got that win last. I'm still waiting. And the other thing that we talked about last week quite a bit, I'm still waiting for this Padres lineup to blow up a little bit. too many guys hitting way below their career numbers, and these are like all-star type guys that are well
like
below
Manny
career
Machado.
Machado's
under
starting to, yeah, he's starting to come together. If you watch him over the weekend, he's getting it together, and that's what they need.
Yeah.
They got all these veteran guys. They just need to get on a run, and none of them have gotten on a run all season
and
long.
Merrill's starting to come along too. So that team, one more win and they're at 500. I think that they're not going to give the Dodgers a run for their money for the division title, but they certainly will probably take second place, in my opinion. Bold statement.
ton of upside with the Padres going forward, in my opinion. All right, let's go to that's a pretty big game. Bryan Leonard, I'll come back to you. Let's go to Tropicana Field, everyone's favorite ballpark, Tropicana Field. Big one tonight in the AL. I do think Tropicana Field gets a little bit of too much hate. That's a fun place to go to a game. Ferg's is a great bar right outside the ballpark, and you can pretty much go sit anywhere unless the Yankees are in town. It's pretty much the only time you can't. The Yankees come to town, suddenly it's a hot ticket at Tropicana Field, and tonight should be a very hot ticket because we have the red hot Rays. Yes, they lost a little bit over the weekend, but that team has been on fire, and it's Griffin Jax, and it's Cam Schlittler, who's been one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball so far this year. So Bryan Leonard, Schlittler, Jax, Yankees, Rays. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, there were a lot of these young pitchers this week that didn't pitch as well. I talked to Mazereski the other day. He got lucky because they called the error on one of the plays, but he could have easily given up 4 or 5 earned runs in that game. Schlittler was getting hit. So, yeah, it's when you pitch that long and you've avoided the setbacks, it's kind of shocking when it happens. But, hey, that's the way it is. People go on winning streaks, losing streaks. And who would have thought that the Yankees would go into Tampa as a slight underdog right now with Jax on the mound. He's about a 113 favorite. His total is 7.5 to the under. Schlittler's been really good. And I'm sure I talked about in the last game about somebody wanting to get back on the mound. I'm sure he's one that is biting at the bit here to get back on the mound. Griffin Jax, they continue to extend him. He continues to pitch well. He's still only going about 5 innings. So that is somewhat of a concern. But considering that he was start of the year is the closer, it's worked out pretty well for him. He's pitched very well. Tampa Bay's a team that I trust. They're a team that can find ways to win even when they're not hitting home runs. And hats off to a third baseman. I think he's now hit 11 home runs. Kevin Harrell, 11 home runs in the last 12 games. That is consistency. But he didn't get a home run yesterday. But let's see if he can go back and get it today against Schlittler. If he eye up one of those fastballs that is as hard as Schlittler throws it, it'll get out of here. I'll tell you that. But this should be a fun game to watch. I don't know if I'm seeing anything to myself that I want to bet on the Yankees. They're still not playing well, and I got lucky to pick the one game that they won the other day. Still a team struggling. They've got to get it together. Tampa Bay's right up there with them. Very important game in that division. Should be fun to watch, but I don't think I have anything, at least off the top of my head, in a betting situation. The Yankees' best 2 bullpen arms, Vidar and Cruz, should be available. Neither one of them pitched the last 2 days. And from Tampa's regard, they also have their best 2 guys, and Baker and Kelly have not pitched the last 2 days. But other than that, everybody else has gotten a lot of work in that bullpen. But Brian Baker has been fantastic this year, one of the best closers in baseball. So if they can set it up for him, they're in pretty good shape here.
Yeah, sort of a weird blow up for Schlittler last time out against the Tigers. That was just I've been trying to figure out, well, does he bounce back? Does he not? And then it starts to creep into my head like, man, this is kind of like what Brian was saying. Like, we are getting there. End of the first half. Some of these guys just need some time off. Schlittler hasn't really – this is, I think, his first go-around at like a full big league season where he was in camp early and just starting games throughout. Because, of course, I think he was still in Double-A at this time last year. Interesting matchup here. TB, you sort of – I feel like have had the pulse on Schlittler all year. So how are you seeing Yankees and Rays?
Yeah, guys, before I get into that, grab a double play. You can get 2 of your 3 favorite handicappers. That would be us. For 3 days, huge discount. And if you only like one of us, which many of you probably only like one of us, you can get a triple play, which is 6 days for the price of 3. So you can use that on one of us, or you can pick 2 of us for 3 days. So grab one of those deals at wagertalk.com. All of us are running pretty well right now, especially Brian. So grab it. I think this is a tale of 2 pitchers that should bounce back, because Schlittler had a horrible game. But I'm always willing to toss out one bad game if I see 6 zeros in a row. And with Schlittler, before that bad game, man, it's like 0-0-1-1, 0-0-1-1. I mean, he was just lights out. So I'm willing to say, look, the guy was tired. He had a bad day. Maybe he had diarrhea. You don't know. These guys are human beings. You have no idea. Maybe his fingernail hurt. Maybe he bit his finger before the game. Anything can happen. So I'm willing to give him a pass on one bad game. The problem is when you start seeing like 2 or 3 of them in a row, but good pitchers usually bounce back. Similarly, this is the same thing that happens when a pitcher comes out and throws a no-hitter. He usually comes the next game and craps a little bit. So I expect Schlittler to bounce back. He's been doing well. He does need a rest. I agree with you. And Jax, if you look at his game log, it's almost exactly like Cam Schlittler's. There's a lot of 0s and 1s there, except for the last game against the Royals, which I lost. I had the team total for the Royals under, and I lost that because he gave up 3 runs, which is really rare for him. I expect a bounce back for both starters. I expect an under here, despite the ballpark. Yankees are just not hitting well. They had one game, was it yesterday or the day before, where they scored, I think, 10. But aside from that, they've just been listless. The Rays are the lineup you got to worry about to kill your under. But Schlittler's been so good. I don't think the Rays are going to slice him up today. So I would go with an under here.
Yeah, I was thinking under as well. I guess the 2 things that put me off just slightly, one being where it's priced, about what I think it should be, 7.5. That's kind of, it's theoretically like it's a good number relative to like if you were getting 7, but my projections are a little bit higher than that. I'm at like 7.8 is what I saw in my projections earlier. So not anything crazy, but I'm not seeing a ton of value there. The thing with, I guess the one thing that puts me off in terms of like, I would say taking the Yankees and backing Schlittler is the fact that the Tampa Bay, I think, frustrated him a little bit earlier this year. They're a frustrating lineup to have to go against. They put the ball in play. They'll slap it around. I believe they had 7 hits. He only lasted 5 innings against the Rays earlier this year. 7 hits. Now, he did get his 8 strikeouts. And TV, I'm with you. Like, really, there aren't. I don't think we've seen Cam Schlittler in his career have the bad back-to-back outings maybe yet. Like, you'd have to go back to last year. So if he just sort of bounces back and then suddenly you're up against 6-7 scoreless, doesn't mean the Rays can't still be in the game. And that's because Griffin Jax is very, very solid as well. I love what the Rays have done with Griffin Jax. Brian, you were talking about going in how deep he goes in the games. Last time, 6 innings the last time out. I think you're going to start seeing him, go the full allotment of pitches. So maybe it is an under. Maybe this is the 3-2 Yankees-Rays battle right here.
Yeah, in regards to Schlittler, on the entire season, in any start, he's never given up more than 1 home run. Give up 4 home runs last time they played Detroit. And home runs, if you take a look at the fly ball to home run ratio, the last 2 games actually, last time against Detroit, it was 33.3. The time before game against that he was in Boston, it was a 25. And then 2 starts before that at Toronto, it was 25. Other than that, it hasn't been that way. But maybe there's something there where he's given up more fly balls lately. Because if you go back, 3 of the last 4 starts, is somewhat of a problem. So maybe he's given the fly balls or a situation where he's given up more home runs, and that's what the cause is. But yeah, I feel more confident when a guy gives up 1 home run a game very consistently, and then just give up 4. It might have been one of those days that the ball was just flying out. It doesn't normally happen that way, but yeah, it's a small sample size, so don't read too much into it.
TB, the more I look at this, the more I'm surprised that the books are giving you a 7.5. I'm surprised they didn't throw a 7 up there for this game, just because of Schlittler and the fact that he's kind of got that ace star power.
Yeah. It's probably the ballpark.
What's a pitcher's park? Tropicana Field's as good of a pitcher park as you're going to find.
Yeah, I would expect a 7 as well. George Barnes in the comments makes a good point. Yankees first 5 plus half a run, I think, would be a decent play. Anytime you get 7 or 7.5, 1 run is very valuable. So I couldn't argue with that. So yeah, we have the most intelligent audience of any WagerTalk show. Shh, don't tell anyone else that though.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, this is going to be a great game to watch. 2 really good pitchers. I don't know if I'll be able to find a way in it, but I thought that was a good conversation on that game. All right, let's a little bit of day baseball on a Monday, little wraparound series. Bryan Leonard, I'll come back to you here. We get the Phillies and the Royals. They will play an afternoon game. It is I believe the one holdover from the weekend. I think the World Cup tweaked this schedule maybe a little bit to push this game off to Monday. Another great pitcher, one great pitcher on the mound in this game. That's Christopher Sanchez for the visitors, and it looks like Noah Cameron for the home team. So Phillies, Royals to you, Monday afternoon baseball. How do you see this one?
Yeah, only day game on today's card. Both lefties, Sanchez and Cameron. Right now, Philadelphia is about a 210, 215 favorite, total of 8. I mentioned both lefties, so let's take a look at how these teams have done against lefties, Philadelphia and Kansas City. On the season, Philadelphia is not good. 84 on the WRC plus. They're 98 against righties. So that is obviously a concern right there. And we're looking at Kansas City, and Kansas City is sitting at 89 against lefties on the season, 94 against righties. So you've got 2 really solid pitchers, although Cameron's ERA hasn't been that good. He's had a couple of blow-ups, but overall he's continuing to pitch better than what his advanced numbers say, going together in this one with a total of 8. I didn't mention the weather anywhere, and it's really not a big problem today. The wind is blowing in a little bit here at Kansas City. It's supposed to be a hot day. So if the wind's blowing out with a hot day, those are the kind of games that you have to worry about. But it's not a situation today. So there's not much variance from what we normally see from a weather standpoint in these games. But Sanchez is a guy that I like to back when I can, but laying $2 on the road here, especially when you're not going to get much backing when Cameron's in there. Philadelphia obviously doesn't hit the lefties very well. But when it gets to the bullpen, that's clearly a Philadelphia advantage because Kansas City's bullpen is horrendous. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'd like to play Philadelphia, but I'm not going to lay this number.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you there, Bryan. I love to push back, right? I love these spots where I can get the dog, maybe take the 1.5, feel like a pitcher or feel like a team and a pitcher's overvalued. Not feeling that way here. I'm kind of with you. It would, but like Tokyo Brandon, can you find a way to play the Phillies? The books are clearly going to make you pay a tax to play the Phillies this afternoon.
Absolutely. This game opened at -170 and it's now dropped all the way to 210. So that means the syndicates and a lot of early bettors are pounding the Phillies for good reason, though. The Royals they're the only team in MLB right now that I have ranked 22 or worse in every single category available. 29th in current form at hitting, where I got the Phillies ranked 7. Sanchez, just a monster on the mound. One kind of red flag was his OPS against these batters in 39 at-bats is 848, which is a little alarming. But then when I took a closer look, I see the only 2 guys doing the damage are Starling Marte and Lane Thomas, 2 guys who lucky to hit 220 or have a 600 OPS. So I don't even think Starling is starting. Maybe he is, but I don't think I'd be too worried about those 2 guys. So yeah, a good way to play this would be take Christopher Sanchez to get the win, because you got to accomplish 3 things for that to happen. He's got to pitch 5 innings. They got to be winning when he comes out, and they have to hold the lead until the end. So you'll get a pretty good odds for that. Definitely won't be minus 200. It'll probably be more like minus 130. I'm guessing. I didn't look. Or you could also take Phillies to score first. That'll probably be pretty poor odds. But there are several ways you can find a way to play this game. They get 9 at bats, so you don't need to be too worried about laying the 1.5. But I think it's Phillies or nothing. They just lost yesterday, and so probably time for a bounce back for them with one of the best pitchers in MLB on the mound. That would be the way I would go. Probably Sanchez to get the win is probably the safest.
Yeah, someone in the chat was like
Royals.
No, well, someone in the chat was like Royals spot. I disagree. I think the spot for the Royals was yesterday. Like the game, I'm kicking myself because I did consider the Royals yesterday, and I felt like that was the Royals spot of the series. Of course, they end up going out and getting it done. This is not. I don't like this Royals team. I've kind of been vocal about that this year. I don't really I never really understood why the market was or like just there was a lot of people high on this Royals team coming into the year. Never really got it, and they have been awful all first half. Toyo Brandon, you make a very interesting point, and I'm going to come back to you for a second. Starling Marte, Lane Thomas, all their exposure is because they spent a lot of time in the NL East against Sanchez, right? Marte had at-bats, but was with the Mets. Lane Thomas was with the Nationals. Probably had, so that's maybe if you want to just take a flyer, how about some props on Lane Thomas, right? Who has that whole history against Sanchez during his time with Washington. Man, you'd have to get creative to play this game, I think. Go ahead. Finish it up.
Just very quickly, I don't want to take too much time, but Noah Cameron's a guy I loved last year. And if you notice his numbers from last year to this year, Brian, do you know why he's so bad this year? Last year, he had a sub-3 ERA with a 1.1 whip. And this year, his numbers are almost double. Have you seen anything? Because he's not good this year. He's given up 18 runs in his last 4 starts.
If you look at his advanced stats, he was a guy last year that was pitching over his head, and it's just regression. I didn't expect a whole lot out of him coming into the season. It's tough to get that luck more than 1 year. There's a few pitchers in baseball that have been able to do it. I talk about Abbott all the time. He's perfected it after that, but I don't think Cameron has got that way. So I think he was better. His numbers showed what he was better than what he was last year. And now it's showing that he's better than what he's shown this year. So somewhere in between is what your true value out of Noah Cameron.
Noah Cameron's going to be around for a long time. He's a lefty. He throws 5 pitches. He throws a lot of strikes. He can go out but the reality is his stuff is not just going to be like shutting guys down in the big leagues, which is essentially what his numbers say he did last year, which he did, but it was a smaller sample. If you watch him pitch, like he'll have a long career. Like there's nothing wrong with Noah Cameron. It's just he was getting priced as like this like top option that's much better than he is, and he doesn't really have the team to back it up this year. This is a bad Royals baseball team. I don't care how you slice it. Bad team. All right, let's continue. Let's move on. Colin's like, if Adam doesn't like the dog at all, you should smash the favorite from what I've noticed. Yeah. I mean, this is a spot where I think the favorite probably wins. Let's see. Let's go out west here. Very interesting game out west tonight. Some people want to talk about Giants and Blue Jays. Bryan Leonard, I'll come back to you first. I know you've been kind of a Landon Roop guy in the past. I thought this game was very interesting. So kick us off, Giants Jays.
All right. We've got Gaussman against Roop. Gaussman's about a 110 favorite. So basically a pick 'em. Total 7.5 to the over. I am seeing 1.8 out there right now. But Gaussman is a guy who continues to eat innings for Toronto. Roop is a guy who pitches, I believe, better at home than he does on the road. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I think that's the case. We're going against a couple of righties here. Let's take a look at how these guys have done against righties over the season. Toronto is at 97 against righties, only 84 against lefties, so that's better for Toronto. And San Francisco is 103 versus righties as opposed to 95 versus lefties. So the hitters have a little bit of an advantage here with these two because they are right-handed. And the line seems to be what I would expect it to be. I'm having a hard time early on. This is just my first look. I get up right before the show. It's my first look at the card, and I'm not seeing much of an advantage in this game. Obviously, Toronto's best hitter, the first baseman, continues to struggle. He's not hitting for any power at all. I believe he only has 3 or 4 home runs for Vladdy Jr. on the season. So that has really hurt them from a power standpoint. Toronto just doesn't have that power. They are going to get somebody back, the outfielder back in the next month or so, and he's a power hitter. But until they get that back, they're going to be a little bit short power-wise. This is a tough stadium to hit home runs in anyway. So I prefer a team in these type of ballparks that can move the runners. And I'm not sure Toronto can do that. So slight lean with the home out underdog with the Root, but I don't think I'm going to get there on this one.
Yeah. Tell you, Brandon, 6 walks for Landon Root last time out. And that's not the first time that's happened this year. Mm-hmm. Guys kind of struggled with command. It's very surprising because I really thought Landon Root, like when he was coming up through the Giants organization, like when he got to the big leagues, was going to be like way better than people maybe would have thought he was going to be. And he was 2024, 2025, really good numbers in both years, no matter how they used him, bullpen or starter. It hasn't really mattered. Just not so much this year. And then on the other side, Kevin Gausman's a guy that you just don't know when he's going to blow up either. 2 starts ago against the Rangers, 10 hits, 6 runs. The start before that, crushed by the Cubs, but then comes out last time out and sort of shuts down the Mets. So what do you make of these 2 pitchers, and what do you make of this matchup, Blue Jays-Giants?
Yeah, I got 2 4% plays out in MLB today. I'm sure my distinguished colleagues will have something out if they don't already. So grab a double play. 2 of the 3 of us, 3 days. Huge discount. These 2 pitchers are what I call landmine pitchers because you take a few safe steps and then boom, they blow up. The Gausman and Rout both. If you look, they're very capable of putting up 0s, 1s, 2s, 0s, 1s, 2s, and then boom, a 7 comes. Boom, an 8 comes, both of them. So I really don't know what to expect. I'll be honest, this is the tightest matchup I have on the card today between these 2 teams. 2 pitchers with really good command and control. They're not really walking that many people, but you did mention last time out he did walk 6. But aside from that, not so bad in the walk area. The only big clear advantage I see is the Blue Jays bullpen has a huge advantage over San Francisco's bullpen. So, and I have the pitchers ranked neck and neck. I have almost everything else ranked neck and neck. So if anything, I would do Blue Jays, but I'm not very confident in it. So I will definitely not be betting.
All right. Well, we do need to know what you are confident in. I got someone said Trig lost the 1.5 with the Nats on Saturday. Should have known the Pirates had Brian Reynolds back in the lineup. I got to be honest. I don't think Brian Reynolds being in the lineup would ever put me off making a bet. Like, nice big leaguer, good ball player, but he's not Mike Trout. So that's just not a guy that I'm just like, oh, Brian Reynolds is playing today. Can't play against the Pirates. So
Brian
I don't
Reynolds
know.
Plays every day.
Yeah, he's a regular.
I don't get that. He plays every day.
Yeah, I don't know what that. Hey, it was a bad call. But listen, it was a bad call. But my whole bet was that in that spot was based on the Nationals hitting, and they just didn't hit, and also did not come ready to play at all. It's a whole different story. But they were in sleep. They were still asleep at 11 a.m. on Saturday. That was one of their worst efforts of the season. But just bad. CJ Abrams looked like he stayed at the casino all night again. That's all I have to say about that game. Tokyo Brandon, we do need a strong opinion from you. Let's go back to or go to a game that you want to talk about for the parlay.
The game. And it's going to be my parlay leg. So I would like to talk about the Washington Nationals, speaking of CJ Abrams, and the Astros. Yeah, hopefully we didn't cover that game already because I'm starting to get senile here.
Yeah, we did not.
Remember,
we got a lot less to talk about today than the other
remember
day.
last week at the end of the show, I was like,
Yep.
yeah, here's a game we haven't talked about, the Dodgers Diamondbacks, and it was the first game we covered. But anyways, today we got the Astros Nationals, and these are two pitchers I love to fade. Burrows was with Pittsburgh, right? And he was pretty bad back then. He's bad now. Two pitchers with 5+ ERAs. Their expected numbers aren't much better. They're just bad. And if you look at how they pitch against the lineups they're facing today, bad. Washington is a sneaky good team. And if you were to tell people the Washington Nationals have a winning record right before the All-Star break, I don't think a lot of people would believe you, but they do. They're a real strange team, though, because they have a losing record at home, but they have a winning record overall. Kind of odd. But yeah, they're really bad at home, actually. 18-27. The Astros not hitting great, but I think Mikolas is kind of a good enema to get your bats going. So I like an over in this game. I don't like either one of the bullpens. I mean, the Astros bullpen is actually pitching quite well, but I think Burrows is going to let a lot of damage here. Washington have sneaky good bats. Both team totals in the first 5 are 2.5. So the books have caught on to my play Washington over 1.5 in the first 5 trick. Usually those tricks only work for a couple of weeks and the books start to catch on, but I like an over in this game. I think it was 9.5. I'm very comfortable with that, especially with Mikolas and Burrows on the mound with two lineups that can smash. I like the over in this. That's going to be my leg of the parlay.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think that's Burrows. He wasn't bad with the Pirates. Like the Astros trade. See, that the funny thing with Burrows is the Astros made a trade to get him, and the thought process was that they were getting him to be in their rotation. I think that they traded Jacob Melton, I believe, to it was the Rays, the Astros, and then the Pirates did a 3-team deal that ultimately brought Burrows to the Astros. In the starting rotation, I'll say that they expected a lot better than they're getting from him this year to this point. But to your point, Tokyo Brandon, he's done nothing this year that makes me want to put a cent on him. And then on the other side, now Miles Mikolas has, I would say, pitched better than he has in years past at times this year. But is anyone surprised if the Astros come in and hang a crooked number on him? Not really. Is anyone surprised if the Astros get a 5-run 8th against the Nats bullpen? No. So I'm with you, TB. I think you're going to get your runs here. Brian, anything on this game for you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he stole what I might have used as my parlay. Yeah, Burrows pitched better in Pittsburgh, and he looked like he was a guy that could hit that next level. He has not. Miles Mikolas, he pitched his best games, I believe. He had an opener a couple times. So if you are going to play this game, make sure you don't list the pitchers because they may come out and throw somebody out there, a lefty out there. So if you want to go against Burrows, and Houston's not one of those teams that puts out the opener very often. So keep that in mind. You may have to bet it again unless you specify. But anyway, yeah, I'm in agreement here. Alvarez has been hot as hell. I don't play home run props, and TB has talked about how he doesn't like home run props, but Alvarez is a pretty good chance to hit home run today. You're never going to get your true value on playing him because the lines maker knows that also. But this game is going to be an over. It would be an over for me. We're looking at either 9.5 minus 115 or under 10 at minus 118. So I think we're going to score a lot of runs here. I agree. And if you're going to play it over, do you want over 9.5 minus 115, or do you want over 10 at minus 105, TB?
Oh, minus 9.5.
Always the lower number. Yeah. Always the lower number. By the way, in the comments, David Edgington or Ed Eggington made a very good point. These pitchers have given up 37 home runs.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll point out about watching the Nats, having to endure Nationals baseball on Saturday and then catching some of the game yesterday, listen, it was 100 degrees in that ballpark. That looked like a team that was just dogging it a little bit, especially Saturday. Some terrible at-bats, some bad swings, some awful swings with runners on base. I think they hit into like 3 or 4 double plays in the game on Saturday. It was just not a good effort, and not an effort that reflects how well the Nationals have played this season. So if you're talking about a side here, I really wouldn't be that surprised if the Nationals played much better tonight. But as we know, typically it goes hand in hand. The Nats playing good means they're scoring runs. This is not a team that wins a ton of like 2-1, 3-2 type games. So if the Nats are playing good ball, it usually means that's a crooked number somewhere. So I think the over makes a lot of sense, TB. All right, Bryan Leonard, to you. We need to know what you're looking at to close the parlay out here.
Okay, we've got a limited card today, and we've got a couple of teams I like that are $2 favorites, so I can't use those. So let's go back to the old faithful and bet against the New York Mets. Freddie Peralta's on the mound, having a non-Freddie Peralta type of season. When players get traded or go free agent at the end of the season, I usually like to fade them early. You've been able to fade him pretty much all season long. He just has not been the same pitcher for the Mets. I don't know if it has something to do with what's going on in the dugout. Maybe all the negativity is affected him. But this is a pretty cheap number for Atlanta to be able to play the Mets. Obviously, Peralta's a better pitcher than Lopez is. But this year, he hasn't been. And the Mets continue to find ways to lose. Atlanta, I talked about this. They were the hottest team in Major League Baseball to start the season. Then they really slumped. But if you take a look at that lineup, they're better than what they've shown lately. And I was able to get a nice win on them the other day. I like them here. You're looking anywhere from 120 to 135 here. Let's go about 127, I think, is pretty much a consensus. With a total of 9. I prefer Atlanta here. I just like their bats a little bit better. And until Peralta turns it around, I'm going to continue to fade them. So, and the Mets, I believe, are now, 2-21 when they're an underdog against a National League team or something to that effect. It's just something crazy going on. So they haven't done it very often. I don't think they're going to do it again today. So on a day where, to be totally honest with you, I may end up passing today for my clients. The over in that Houston game and Atlanta are probably the 2 games that I like the best.
Tokyo Brandon, you have to go all the way back to the middle of June to find the Mets winning back-to-back games, and that would be, of course, what would need to happen here. I just want to make sure I didn't misspeak there. Yeah, no, that's accurate. You have to go back to the middle of June for the Mets to for the last time the Mets have won back-to-back games. Of course, they win yesterday. I don't know what went on in that 9th inning. I got to be honest. I didn't watch the 9th inning of that game. All of a sudden, it's a 10-9 game. Some fireworks late. Anything for you to add here in Braves Mets? I don't have much in this one personally.
Yeah, Nuke Weaver came in the game. That's what happened. Sure, the Yankees are very happy to have unloaded him to their city neighbors, and then Devin Bin Laden Williams came in and gave up even more. So, yeah, 2 Yankee rejects who are not doing much better across the city. So that's what happened. The problem with the Mets is they got a lot of big names who aren't producing. It's kind of like the Padres, but the Padres are starting to come around. I don't see the Mets starting to come around, although Juan Soto's had a couple good games, but I don't see a lot of support here. If you look at Reynaldo Lopez is a guy who I like to fade, generally speaking, but this year, like Bryan said, he's pitching really well. He has good stats against these batters as well. Particularly Lindor struggles against him, and it's a huge sample size. So I might think about taking Lindor's total bases under in this one, because Reynaldo Lopez has pretty much owned him his whole career. Teams are pretty even, though, as far as just straight up stats are concerned, except the hitting. The Mets are way at the bottom, and the Braves in current form are average, but bullpen current form is even, but the Braves have a much better bullpen, obviously. And starting pitchers, I got these guys even as well. But I think Lopez, like Brian said, Freddie's the better pitcher, but Lopez is having a better season. So, yeah, I mean, Lindor, I think under for his total bases would be a pretty good play in this one.
Brian, what did you say the price was on the Braves money line right there?
Let me check it again.
130, I think.
Yeah, it goes anywhere from 120 to 135.
Sure.
127, I think, is anywhere from 127 to 130. It doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to use.
27.
All right.
Good.
I was going to say, before we, I want to pull Freebird up here. First of all, thank you very much for the donation. All donations to the show get donated to charity by our home office. So we very much appreciate that. Freebird, we did talk about Phillies Royals. So we've already done the full breakdown of that game very quickly. Listen, if you can find a way to get money on the Phillies in some reasonable fashion today, I do not mind that. I don't know if it's like jumping in game, maybe hope that the Royals score an early run. I don't know if it's, like a parlay of some sort. I really don't know, but I'll tell you right now, I think the Phillies win this game this afternoon. Again, you're just going to have to find a way that's comfortable for you. But this is I would be quite surprised if the Phillies lost this game. I'll just leave it at that. Because
After
of
losing
course,
yesterday,
yes.
especially, yeah.
Losing yesterday, Christopher Sanchez on the mound, the Royals can't hit. It feels like a Phillies win.
Does.
All right. Check out the website. All of us are going to have plays today. I know Tokyo Brandon's already got some plays up. I have not added anything yet, but I probably will at some point. I do just about every day, so I'm sure I'll have something out there at some point. Double play package. You can get 2 of the 3 that you see on the screen. We also have some great options for July up. One of them is a triple play. I believe you get like 6 days for the price of 3. So check all of those specials out on our respective pages. We made some moves in the parlay category last week. We hit a couple, even with the loss over the weekend. We are now plus 6.52 units on the parlay. Basically, for every dollar that you've bet on these, if you were to do the same amount all year, you'd be up $6.52 for each dollar. So pretty fired up about that. Let's see if we can do it again today. I'm going to go Padres minus 110. That's full game. Brian is going to go Braves minus 127. And then Tokyo Brandon's going Astros Nats over 9.5 minus 115. So 3 full games in the parlay. Astros Nats over 9.5. Braves on the money line. Padres on the money line. That's your 3-teamer. That is your show for today. The 3 of us will be back tomorrow morning. Same time, same place for another Total Bases. We'll see you guys then.